Hey guys, this might come as a little abrupt of an announcement, but as the title says, I've released a webtoon. The title of the webtoon is Entwined, and it is an original story of mine. Now, Entwined is a supernatural and thriller story with a little bit of comedy and drama and slice of life. It's not supernatural as in the sense of spirits or ghosts, but more like in the sense of elemental powers and like magical powers in modern daily life setting, something like that. Some of you may already know about Entwined as I've been talking about it in my community tab on this channel and on my social media. But anyway, I wanted to make this video because in case you missed those posts, I wanna officially announce it in a video because it's such a big milestone for me. So in this video, I'm gonna show you the time lapse of the drawing I did for the cover of Entwined while I tell you more about it. So yeah. Okay, so first of all, I've talked a little bit before about how I have more OCs and how I want to introduce them to you. So now the time has finally come because those OCs are mainly characters of my webtoon. Now if you don't know what a webtoon is, it's basically like a manga, however you read it on your smartphone. So it's made in a vertical canvas so that you can read it while scrolling on your phone. Of course, it can be black and white or colored, and because I love colors, I chose to go with colored version, of course. And as you know, that takes more time, but the result is more enjoyable for me at least. And for the viewers too, I guess. So yeah, Entwined is a very old story of mine. I had this story since my teenage days, like since 2005 and 2006, I don't remember exactly when. But I remember that I drew the characters heavily in 2007, 2008, and the peak was in 2010 until I eventually stopped drawing them because I got busy with college and life and other things that happened. So yeah, I kind of abandoned it throughout the previous years. I wanted to get back to it and make a story or something out of it, or maybe a game, but I kept feeling that the story was kind of cringy because I wrote it during my teenage days, which my life experience back then was very limited and I didn't know much about storytelling. So it stayed on the side, although deep inside I kept feeling bad that I never gave it the attention it deserved because I really love its characters and the story has a special place in my heart. And literally, if there was one project I wanted to work on and see become real in this life, it would be Entwined. So last year in 2020, I saw how so many webtoons were getting anime adaptations, and that kind of hyped me up to check Webtoon app itself. I knew about it before, but I never really actually gave it a try and read any comic over there. So I was like, okay, let's download it, and the moment I downloaded it and started scrolling through those comics, I felt a burst of inspiration. And I was like, I guess now I know what Entwined is gonna be. I'm gonna make a webtoon out of this for sure because this is just so inspiring. So the idea started growing in my head last year. I went back to the story, I revamped it, I kind of rewrote it in my head. I haven't written it officially yet, except the first few chapters, but it's all in my head. The planning is all done and everything. I know the start point, I know the end point, and I know the important parts of the plot. So yeah, I revamped it and made it more logical and less cliche because I really hate cliche stories and I really don't want to end up making one. I'm trying as much as possible to stay away from that. So yeah, the idea kept growing in my head. I started scribbling the first rough draft of chapter 1 back in August 2020, but I didn't complete that rough draft and it was left untouched for a few months because I was busy with other stuff in my life and other projects that I wanted to finish before committing to it. Though in the beginning of the year 2021, I felt like that's it, I can't keep delaying this anymore. I just got that burst of inspiration and I started seriously drawing chapter 1. It was a big learning curve for me at the start. I had to do so much research on webtoons, on using assets and 3D models and like paneling, the distancing between the panels and so on. There was just so many stuff to learn, but I enjoyed every part of it. I nearly ended up taking a whole month to finish chapter 1. I was very careful to put everything in its right place. But after finishing chapter 1 and reading it over and over, I just felt so excited I had to continue with the rest of the chapters. So I've been working on this for a few months, all while juggling my other tasks of my YouTube channel and online courses and other commitments. But yeah, I managed to make time for it, especially in the last 3 months. I just really wanted to push the release date of Entwined, and I started drawing chapter after chapter. Of course, it still takes me a lot of time to finish a chapter, at least 2 or 3 weeks of continuous work, and it's by no way an easy task, but honestly, the hardest step ever was just to get started. like just to open that canvas and start to actually seriously draw the comic. After I did that, after I conquered my fear of starting a comic, the process became much easier. There's still so much to learn, there's still so much to plan for, especially in those first few chapters. There are so many things being established, like the environment, places in the backgrounds, and the character designs, and so on. All of those need some time, so every 1 or 2 chapter I still have to pause and give it some time to establish those stuff. But overall, I'm really enjoying the process. To be honest, before I started working on Entwined, I had reached a point in my art path that I felt just no inspiration to draw whatsoever. I had no attachment to any sort of character, no sort of big fandom that would make me draw non-stop. So every time I started a new canvas, I would just stare blankly at the white page in front of me and honestly just feel so confused and not knowing what to draw and so fearful of what to draw next. But since I started Entwined, and especially drawing the chapters themselves, I just cannot stop myself. I just want to draw scene after scene, chapter after chapter, and I feel like I have so much content to even just make normal illustration out of, because now I have the characters, I know their background stories, and there are just countless scenarios to draw from. So yeah, that's how my experience has been so far. Now I'm planning to release the first few chapters at least every 2 weeks. So since chapter 1 was released on August 1st, the next chapter is coming on August 15th, and so on. I'll see how long I can keep this sort of schedule, but at least I want the readers to be able to get a glimpse of the story before reaching the point where I'm not able to release in the same schedule. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. On a side note, Entwined's original name was not Entwined, but I used to call it Wasurenai, which is a Japanese word that means I won't forget. And that name I had chosen like in 2006, as I remember, because it was one of the very few Japanese words I learned and picked it up and I just like straight up used it as a title, which literally has no relation to the story whatsoever. So I renamed it. I looked up so many words and I found Entwined was the best word to describe the story because it's an intertwined story of elemental powers and supernatural stuff and a sort of emotional thriller. So I'm really excited to tell you the story as time goes by. And honestly speaking, this kind of work, comic creation, is taking up most of my time. So most likely I'm gonna reach a point where I won't be able to keep up with my YouTube channel anymore. Just giving you a heads up. Because I really want to focus on that, and it's been kinda getting too much workload on my plate. But yeah, even if that happens, you can still see my latest works on Webtoon Canvas, on my social media, and also join me for live streams on my Twitch channel. All of those links are available in my description box. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing this moment with me, and I look forward for Entwined to grow with you, with the community. Thank you so much. I look forward to see you on Webtoon Canvas.